Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price as we break down hearing from the offensive staff as we did so on this Wednesday, Brent. The one thing that sticks out to me is they talk about unity, kind of being on the same page, and they feel like that's going to help them with their install this spring and going forward.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, you've got a group of guys when you talk about Coach Halsey, Coach Ellerby, and Coach Golish, along with Coach Heupel, who all know this system inside and out, which will help bring Coach Mack along and Cody Burns along as well. But I thought it was fascinating, Austin, to hear them talk about how quick they think it can get installed, yet how flexible it is, how multiple it is, and how player friendly it is. So, what they can get done here in the next few weeks before spring practice and then get done in spring practice, I think is going to be really an interesting storyline to watch on that side of the ball. Because let's face it, heading into next fall, the offensive side is where all the expectation is going to be for this team.
No doubt about it. I'll say the proof will be in the pudding as far as how player friendly it is. The last staff on defense said that their defense was easy to learn and it was anything but. So, again, it may be easy for somebody that's been in the system for 3 or 4 years or longer, but what's it like for these new kids kind of seeing it for the first time? Well, only time will tell. Maybe it will be. Maybe it'll be the best thing to happen to Tennessee football in a long time. I thought the interesting comments from Coach Halsley. I'm going to turn those quarterbacks loose, Brent, and let them have some freedoms.
Yeah, a little bit of maybe even a recruiting message in there as well. If you're wondering what this is about, it's you're not going to be a robot in this offense. They're going to give you parameters and you play within the parameters, but it's not necessarily read one, two, three, and four. It's manage it, and you're not a robot out there. And I think that was the point. The other point that was made is that position is flexible in terms of what they're looking for. It's not necessarily a run guy. It's not necessarily just a drop back guy. They reiterated what Coach Heupel reiterated the day he was announced, and that is they've played with a variety of skill sets at the quarterback position, but they're looking for a guy who's going to be willing to rip it, and a guy who's going to be willing to go play the game and play fast. So. Again, I think a lot of things that were said were very positive, and a lot of people are going to take a lot of good with it. I'm with you. The proof is in the pudding. But I thought it was interesting their comments about the quarterback, and then for me, maybe the most, and I'm not surprised because of his polish, because he's been a head coach before. But boy, it's hard not to come away from listening to Jerry Mack and think that guy's going to be able to recruit, and that guy's going to bring some levity, into meeting rooms because he's got some experience on him, and he comes across very impressive. I'll say that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought of all the coaches, I don't think anybody looked bad. I thought everybody did well, but I thought he by far was the brightest star listening to that offensive staff. And again, you're right, more polished. He's done plenty of media sessions. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Several of them talked about they wish we were all there in attendance instead of being on the screen for the Zoom. So I mean, I think that shows you how personable they can be. But yeah, he was very polished. Talked about his love of Memphis and the fact his parents are there. Obviously we'll have a lot of ties there, and I think feels pretty positive about what he's got coming back in the running back room. We've talked about that, Brent. Tennessee's as deep there as they are about anywhere, and that's with losing a few guys. So, and he's got all kinds of different shapes and sizes. None of them are the same.
Yep, and you look at that position and you look at the depth at the receiver position, you think those could be strengths, but they're young. It's
Yeah.
youth. So how quick can can Cody Burns and can Jerry Mack get those guys up to speed in this offense? Two guys who are learning this offense as coaches, how quick can they get a grasp on it to get their players up to speed to get going in the spring practice is going to be interesting. I think we heard in hearing them today, you're reminded of how difficult it was for everybody last year who had new coaches or putting in new stuff because they didn't have spring practice. It's imperative to put this system in. This team's got to have spring ball, which they'll have. But obviously, a year ago, that didn't happen for everybody around the country, which is pretty remarkable about putting in a system when you look at that. My overriding takeaway is that I'm with you. Proof is in the pudding. Everybody's been down this road before, so there's a pump the brakes, wait and see approach. But for Tennessee, smart move by Coach Heupel to get all those guys out in front of the media, get them all out with some publicity, and generate some positive chatter about Tennessee heading into this 3 weeks or 4 weeks here before spring practice starts. I think a good move to get a little juice going for a coaching staff that has kind of for the last couple of weeks just been very. It's been more about who's not coming than it's been about who's coming. And so I think it's a good move for them PR wise to get it out there for the fans to see today.
Yeah, not just credit for Coach Heupel, but the guy that was pushing him to get all these people out here, Bill Martin, Tennessee Sports Information Director. Good move by him. I think he understands that the program's in a weird spot. They need some positive publicity, and right now, all the offensive coaches talking continuity, talking about what they see and the positives for Tennessee going forward is positive news on this Wednesday. For Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price. That's a recap as Tennessee unveils its offensive staff for the 2021 season.